In 1975, after much speculation from the general public, the United States government released confirmation of a very nefarious and wicked mind control program that had been going on. And today, we are going to be talking to one of the survivors of that program. And before we get to our episode today, just a quick thank you to all of our patrons and our producers. If you would like to join our Patreon or our producer community and help support the work done here on Esoteric Atlanta, there is a link down in the description box below. This channel is solely crowd-funded through our amazing patrons and our producers and our sponsors. So you guys mean the world to us. Just a quick heads up before we get into the episode today, you guys. This is the short form episode. This, unfortunately, is due to YouTube's guidelines, community guidelines. So a lot of information is in this episode for those that want the short form and want to stay here on this platform. Otherwise, if you want the long form, uncensored episode, please join Esoteric Atlanta over on the other platform, RUMBLE. I still don't think I can say that word, RUMBLE. If you go over to that platform under the same channel name, Esoteric Atlanta, same thumbnail, you will find the long form uncensored episode. But otherwise, I've tried to share as much as possible here in the short form.
At the moment, mind control, in one respect, I think it's a very overused word, we're using it. But in the other respect, I think it's very underused because most people have no idea of all the ways they're under mind control. Now, you've got so much experience because you've been under and subjected the worst and most extreme type. Could you sort of outline to people that this is quite new to what mind control is and the extreme that you went through, but how that's relevant to people living their everyday lives that probably have no idea that they're under some form of mind control?
Everyone got a little taste and view of what mind control is really all about. So mind control is a sliding scale, and it's very, very pervasive in so many different levels. And the formula is the same, whether it's of an individual, a nation, a classroom, a military, or the world. Trauma is the basis of it. Start implementing it and enforcing it and bringing it about the slave society agenda. Ultimately, the goal of it is to shut down neuron pathways in the human brain so that people are more attuned to the flat, linear, low vibration thinking of artificial intelligence. So this plan to dumb us down to that zone has been in place for a long, long time. Bring us to the point really where we are today. And it slowly crept in, affected humanity, and has been eroding the essence of our humanity for a long time. Our saving grace is our wisdom, and wisdom comes with free thought. So ultimately, we have the victory within us. We just need to remember that it is, because we have been conditioned for so long from the kind of torturous, robotic control I experienced to information control.
Yeah.
We all formulate our thoughts, opinions, and actions based on what we know. That knowledge base has been deliberately altered for a long, long time to make us compliant.
Now, I have a question, Kathy. This brought up something. I'm going to see if I can find it. How with women as well, we've seen kind of an attack again on women. And there was a Sabrina, now I don't listen to Sabrina Carpenter, but there was an album cover that caused a lot of controversy. And I'm gonna see if I can find it. And people in the here it is. Catherine, can I share screen?
Yeah, you should be
Because
able.
I don't know if I can. I want to make sure, I don't want to. If you have children, this was the album cover.
Oh, yes.
So very derogatory towards women. And, a lot of women, especially young girls, are like praising her for being a feminist, but this is not.
Also distorting our love vibration, because love is the most powerful force in the universe. We look at it energetically. It's the most beautiful, powerful force, and love is attacked from every angle. And that's something that we need to get back to. It's like, even in ways that society was conditioned to, at a certain age, you're supposed to be married and have kids and blah, blah, do this, do that, in this order, blah. No, it doesn't work that way. What about soulmate? What about love? What about, that absolute massive beauty that happens when people who belong together fall in love? Love does not fit into that vibration. So it's under attack, and we need to just remind people what love really is about. I think that's our next evolutionary step, is for people to remember love is the most powerful force in the universe. When our brains experience trauma, if it's a national trauma or a global trauma, the conscious mind freezes in fright and leaves our subconscious mind wide open to being easily led and programmed, ultimately, especially with repetitive media narrative. Like, if people aren't using their conscious mind filter, if that conscious mind filter is distracted, then it's just information going in, and ultimately that information that is a very interesting perspective on it. Ultimately, it's not multiple personalities; it's one personality being shattered. So the part of the brain that deals with a certain abuse can be triggered open to deal with that abuse again and again as needed. And then this part over here that endured a different kind of can be triggered open to deal with the again and again as needed. And because the neuron pathways are shut down in the brain, there's no intercommunication between this part and this part. So ultimately, there is no formation of a personality. It never does come together as the strength and the vast capability that normal brains would develop. Instead, it's all compartmentalized with no intercommunication. And with no intercommunication, there's no expansion beyond that. So after a while, like, by the time Mark Phillips lifted me out of the Washington, D.C. human, I didn't know good people existed in the world. I didn't know there was a place where there was all the parts of my brain knew. And that is a very deliberate disruption. It's why our children are targeted, because if they experience trauma prior to age 5 while the brain is still forming, then that creates that sectioning off of the brain, and it continues to develop that way unless healing occurs. And the information on healing has been suppressed very deliberately under national security ever since mind control was imported into the U.S. So with that natural, our birthright information to healing being suppressed, people haven't known how to heal from that. Instead, therapy has been taught very, very wrong how to help. I feel for the survivors who are emerging today, because they're emerging into a very ignorant world, one that does not know how to even help. And when survivors are safe, they need a safe place to be. then they can heal from within, just as I did. And that's a natural process. When we heal from within, we open those neuron pathways in the brain so that we can't be triggered anymore. We get that. We get to pull it all together, to have that personality that was meant to be from the beginning. It's like what happens to us in life isn't who we are. Who we are is still within us. When we pull that together, we find that it has been divinely protected and that we have this ability to live the life we were intended to live the purity and authenticity of who we really are. So that's still within us. And no matter what happens to us, we can reclaim that. In so many ways, everyone, everywhere needs to go within and reclaim that, to remember who they are and why they're here at this pivotal moment in humanity's history.
Tie the two together in terms of what you're seeing on this public stage, of course, what we're being chosen to show to the mass public, and how that fits into your knowledge of how this plays out in general.
Oh, that's just it's so brilliant. This whole thing, I'm very concerned for the survivors because they haven't been healed from within. And if they're not healed from within, they can still be triggered. If they can be triggered, they're vulnerable. Therapists who have been indoctrinated in the school system to perpetuate a victim mentality to keep people suggestible, because that's definitely been the agenda in mental health for a long time. Or whether it's churches who have their own misperceptions on what to do with people who have been, where they tell them all you have to do is believe you're healed. And that does not open those neuron pathways. It doesn't diffuse the triggering. It doesn't diffuse the program and the triggering. And that, again, leaves them very vulnerable. So we have many different aspects of the way survivors aren't being helped. The worst one is hypnosis, because the brain needs to be safe. When the compartmentalization began in my brain in infancy, it began with my father's and everything else, and it happened in my brain before I could even think to know what he was doing was wrong, because it's an autogenic brain response. Likewise, when we're safe, those neuron pathways start opening up. So we need a safe environment. And that safety comes when we're not being intruded upon, when we're not being programmed over, when we're not being indoctrinated with a belief system, when someone's not manipulating the subconscious with hypnosis, because ultimately the brain recognizes that and will not heal. The neuron pathways will not open back up when it's being intruded upon. So when we heal from within, we stop that intrusion, we have that capacity. Of course, if our brains have been made so divinely perfect that they shut down neuron pathways, they certainly can open them, but we need to remember that and do that for ourselves. Healing is an individual journey, and we need time and safety in order to do that. I'm encouraged that there's so many survivors who have come out that do not want to maintain a victim mentality, that want to reclaim their joy, that want to be able to live free, that they're not accepting the bad therapeutic whether it's well-intentioned or not, from outside input anymore. So they're wanting answers. It has given me voice so much that I'm as busy as I can possibly be. And ultimately, I'm helping those who are helping survivors rather than the survivors themselves, because if they're making a safe place for survivors, they need to know that those survivors don't need their intrusive belief systems imposed on them. They just need their own space to heal, and that it's keeping me very busy because safe houses are opening up everywhere because we know the system's corrupted. We know the system is helping. It's only perpetuating the problem. So people are helping people now, and it's exciting to see the transition. But we got a long way to go, and it's like as fast as it's happening now. I've waited for this my whole life. I wish it would happen faster because I'm very concerned for the survivors and all who are speaking out before they're ready.
To do that. No, I have someone like would take like a Britney Spears, and we see what's going on with her, and everybody's very concerned. What is happening with her neurologically for this? Is the programming wearing off? Is her soul bucking back? Like, what happens when we see something like that from your perspective? Because obviously that's a side effect of extreme, I would assume, and mind control. So what are we seeing with her right now from your perspective with her behavior?
I think we're seeing exactly what we're supposed to see. It's supposed to make survivors feel like they'll never be well. It's deliberate social engineering to continue a victim mentality. So what we're seeing is Brittany being used to create that illusion, because that poor thing has tried so hard to come out and break free. And like Kanye West, every time she says MK Ultra, she's reeled back in. And it's because she hasn't had the safe place to start her own healing process. And I hold the vision of that for her someday. I hope that people become aware enough to be able to help Brittany and those like her, and to recognize how she is being used to perpetuate a victim mentality very deliberately.
Do you see this a lot with public personalities, with politicians and things like that, where you can spot the signs?
Oh, absolutely. And, when they're in a high-profile situation, it's harder for them to be able to break free because there's too many people that have control over that particular person, especially if they're making a whole lot of money. And they made a big mistake telling us shelter at home, because that broke routine patterns. When you break routine patterns, it forces the brain to fire in new ways. You have to think of new things. You have to, so it opened neuron pathways. Mind control shuts them down. That opened neuron pathways. And because it did, people started noticing what their children were being indoctrinated with in the school system. They started seeing what the media was doing, telling us violence was peace and peace was violence. It didn't make any sense anymore. So people started waking up. And I suggest to everyone to understand that mind control is absolute. And like Mark told me, we are not responsible for what happens, what we're forced to do under mind control. Our abusers are. They need to be held accountable for those actions. Mm-hmm. What we need to do is realize now that we are responsible for all our actions going forward. That means we never comply again. We evolve with the knowledge that it's our defense against mind control. And we effectively protect our children going forward. These are really important things. So people are wanting to know, how do I do that? How do I get from this point to that point? And I just posted PTSD Time to Heal on my website so everyone can have it. It's a simple, easy workbook, a reminder of our birthright information, how to reclaim our free thought, free will, that Mark taught me. This is how I healed. So I can post that information that was buried under national security for generations. It was buried under there to perpetuate the victim mentality. Mark couldn't release it because he worked intelligence and was bound by laws of sedition. I could release it because it's my experience to have healed, and I am not bound by laws of sedition. So it's posted right there. Simple, thin little workbook that everyone can use and apply to themselves. And I encourage everyone to do it. Everyone, pick up that pen and paper, write out your fear and trauma. It opens neuron pathways in the brain to move a pen. If we put writing by hand back in the school system, we stop the indoctrination of our children. We all can use this to reclaim and retain our free thought going forward. one simple little brain trick. There's many more little tips in PTSD Time to Heal that people can apply. So as more and more people are realizing this and reclaiming their own power, the ability for them to impose this on us again will continue to fail. Those are, again, people that are being mind controlled and brought in very deliberately for that situation to create the situation. How are we going to cooperate with it? My daughter Kelly and I were talking the other day, and she was so brilliant, saying, the Great Awakening is massive. We've definitely passed critical mass, but wow, people got a long way to go to catch up. And I thought that was just such a great perspective, because they do. Now we have to undo this mess. Now we have to evolve with the knowledge that's our defense going forward, so that no matter how they push, that we don't comply, that we've realized what's going on in our streets. And we've got an opportunity in front of us that it is happening, and it can't happen fast enough. After speaking up for 35 years, I have definitely learned patience, but at the same time,
I haven't yet. Sorry. Yeah.
I realized that in my patience, that ultimately it's going to take everyone everywhere to be waking up. It takes all of us. It takes everybody to wake up. So it's spiritually evolutionary, it's mentally evolutionary, it's an evolutionary time we're living. And while we're going through the curve, those who are still programmed are being activated very deliberately into very violent situations.
Do these people just not have a sense of self? And they're trying to fill that void by controlling other selves? What is it about them that makes them have that desire to even want to control people?
Just that they're not like us, and they do not like us. Mm-hmm. They're soulless. They don't think in the same way, and they're following a DARPA artificial intelligence generated plan. And it's almost like they're programmed to that plan themselves, where they can't even think beyond it. They don't think of the consequences. They don't think further. They have no wisdom. That's why I'm not afraid of artificial intelligence, because wisdom outthinks criminal minds and artificial intelligence every time, because we've got it all. But the fact is, they're trying to erode our humanity with mind control, when their greatest fear is the strength of the human spirit. Because when we have the strength of spirit, we win. It's our victory. It's our saving grace. So they can't, it's such a high vibration, they can't reach it. They're low vibration. Yeah. The only thing they can do is use mind control, trauma after trauma after trauma, to try to bring our vibration down, to make our conscious mind freeze and fright, so they can program the subconscious to not go within. If they do that, then we forget that we have all the power. We forget to align with our divine within, to gather the strength of the human spirit and the infinite power of love. The only thing they can do is stop us from thinking to access our victory. So that's artificial intelligence. That's what it's doing. And of course, there's no soul. So we know that soul is our saving grace. It gives us the wisdom. It gives us access to the strength of spirit and our victory.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you both, and they're very controversial, but I'm going to ask it anyway. But I'm just thinking through sort of well-known examples of what's going on. We've mentioned the sort of riots and the protests. I mean, now you're in the UK, if anyone belongs to a pro-Palestine group, they're arresting people in their homes for being on Zoom meetings, attending, organising pro-Palestine marches. I mean, it's literally gone unbelievable. I can't believe if that's true, because of course we're going on this based on what we're being shown on our social media feeds and everything, so you can't really believe any of it anymore. But do you think some high profile cases, like say what Candace Owens is doing with the Macrons, do you think that could sort of speed up the awakening process, or do you think it will put it back? Because she's getting out to huge audiences to start asking questions about, is this whole structure a lie? Is their whole life a lie? And we're so obsessed as a public with celebrities. Do you think it's going to take some big takedown of some celebrity figures or high power politicians to actually get people to break the spell?
I think the spell's already breaking. Look at the Diddy case and what you were saying about Britney Spears, and there's so many aspects of society that are totally unraveling. In the United States, we realize our system has been structured wrong. The whole child protective services, so-called child protective services, is nothing more than more human. And of course, that's in my testimony, and it's detailed. My own daughter was thrust into the system, the corrupted system that I saw being formed. She was one of the first back then, and I began speaking out of love for her and concern for her 35 years ago. Well, 35 years later, there are so many people affected by that corrupt system that it's not even viable anymore. People know that it's not working. That's why I said safe houses are opening up over here by people helping people. We can't rely on the system anymore. So that system's already dismantling by natural progression, and it will continue to do so as more and more people wake up to realize how MK Ultra has permeated the entertainment industries, the churches, schools. We're seeing it all in every walk of life. So the awareness is the first step towards positive, necessary change. That change is happening. I have no idea what Candace Owens is doing. I don't follow her at all. I don't follow any one. I do research information and look at the various things there, because everybody makes mistakes. Everybody puts bad information out and good information out, no matter how well intentioned they are. It's just there's so much out there. So as everyone reclaims that discernment and starts, questioning information instead of blaming people, we're going to advance a lot faster further.
And I will say, I know the one biggest difference between the darkness and the light is that the light has a sense of humor. And the amount of memes that I have seen come out of this Macron situation and his she-man wife from people is hysterical. And I don't think the darkness knows how to handle laughter, because laughter and humor come from a place of love.
So there's so much to be hopeful for. Let's finish off by saying, what are you hopeful for, Kathy? And then we'll come on to you, Bryce, in terms of what are you really hoping to see over the next 6 months, year, that's going to really lift your heart up on a personal level and a collective level?
For me, I think my greatest hope would be that people continue to realize that this victim mentality is being deliberately perpetuated in order to create compliance and to create this slave society agenda, to push that forward. We got a long way to go to remember who we are and why we're here, to go within and realize our own power. More and more people are realizing it now, but we do have a ways to go. That I'm so concerned for the Epstein survivors speaking out too soon, and yet I reflect back on the numbers of victims, the same the same scenario, same setup, same purpose at Bohemian Grove, and how very, very few survived at all because they were just eliminated. I barely escaped that demise myself. So there's so many more survivors who are alive now because awareness has reached this point. Because people do know what Epstein was about. So they're at least, they have survived. They've reached this point. Now let's help them. Now let's allow them to be in a safe place where they can begin their healing process from within the way that it's intended to be.
I love it. And what about you, Bryce?
Well, I second that, but I also too something about one thing that I've noticed lately is just for there's such a war against white people right now. They're trying to destroy white people, and I have seen so many Black creators on TikTok who are, it makes me emotional. They're going out of their way to defend white people and talk about how we are all brothers and sisters. And I don't know why it makes it just the love that's coming from these people who are being taught that white people are bad, but yet they're standing up saying, no, my best friend's white. We're brothers and sisters and we can appreciate each other's culture. And, there's this trend on TikTok where Black people are going, hey, white people, I have a question for you. Will you be my friend? And if that's where we're going, where people just love each other and support each other and give each other space to be free, and to celebrate I have a huge problem. I love God, huge fan of God, but I don't like religions. I want people to be free to celebrate that spirit within them and that we respect each other. I don't know why that got me emotional, but that's what I hope for the future, is that we're not falling for this shit anymore, that we are all just here on this rock, living the best we can and creating and respecting each other and celebrating each other's cultures, not comparing them in a bad way, but celebrating them for their uniqueness. And I think most people at the end of the day are good and want that and will come out of this.
I agree with both of you, and I would just add an extra little bit on at the end for me, where I really hope there are times when we realise that it's not all just about the human race, and actually if we extended our compassion and thoughts and how we live and interact with nature and all creatures great and small, that connection would make us treat our other humans with a lot more of that respect. And that once we see through the divide and conquer plan and we support each other, then everything will change very, very quickly.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Kathy. We've absolutely loved it, haven't we, Bryce? Thank you so much for everyone watching, and we really appreciate. Let's finish off. How can people get your books and support you?
They can find me on my website, trance-formation.com, trance-formation.com. I've got blog posts. My books are posted there. My books are all on Audible. I read them myself, so to preserve the integrity of information. That's where people can find me, and they can reach out to me there too.
Absolutely lovely. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.